Precious! That's brilliant! Mule with it. Wood's got around the back. And Richie Wood has done it again! The magic man has come up with another trick! Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done! It's Georgie Kelly! Rotherham United's pathway back to the championship is opening up!
Hello everybody, good evening, good morning, whenever you listen to us. This is New York Talk, the Rotherham United podcast, and the Rotherham United roller coaster continues. A point at Hull, which on the face of it in isolation sounds pretty good. When you realise that most of the teams below us picked up points, it then becomes a bit more of a precarious situation in the championship, and everything feels much more Rotherham United-like. We'll pick about the 0-0 as well as how the other results have affected the survival picture. Mick's with us. Mick is live from a car park in North Wales. How is it going, Mick?
Very good, mate. Thank you. Very good. It's very scenic, very picturesque. Nice view of the co-op and some houses. It's lovely.
As we like it. John Hensby's with us. Jude User, Harvey Kelwick, Nick Henderson's a decent point in the end. He says Kim Hayward, Chris Tether are all with us. John Morrell says, evening lads, the relegation battle looks tasty. Yeah, somewhat like that. First of all, I want to mention to Kimbo Sports, who are kindly supporting the podcast. If you go to kimbosports.co.uk and use the code NYT, you'll get 20% off matchday kits. Essentially, what they do is your kits for your Sunday League team, 5-a-side team, 6-a-side teams. And Nick, you used to run obviously a U kids team back in the day. If you can find a good kit supplier, it helps your life out significantly, doesn't it?
Yeah, massively so. It's one of the real pains of being a coach of a under whatever it is football team. So I know that Wayne is very, very helpful, and it will make that job a lot easier than it would be otherwise. So give him a shout if you're involved in a youth or even an adult football team.
Absolutely, yeah. Kids and adult sizes available, and they do the New York Talk hats. So if you want to pick up one of the hats that we have available, then $11.99 on the website. There's a New York Talk section. Have a look. There isn't a blue one for John, unfortunately, but there are some New York Talk hats available if you fancy having a look at those. So back to the Millers, Mick. 0-0 draw at Hull. We'll talk about the key incidents in a bit, I suppose, but let's just talk about the overall performance. I thought up until the red card, well, taking away the first 15 minutes and up until the red card, I thought we were the better team without actually doing anything. We're having this issue of creating absolutely nothing. And we were one of those teams. We looked pretty on ball a little bit, zero cutting edge.
Absolutely nothing, is there? Nothing at all going forward. And it is a worry. We're creating nothing. What is it? Something like 2 or 3 shots on goal in the last 3 games, something like that.
Well, that yeah.
It's not good enough. It's really not good enough. Having said that, obviously we're struggling through injury and now suspensions in that midfield area, which is a significant part of the reason we're finding ourselves in that position. So hopefully those injuries are coming. Those injury periods, should we say, are coming to an end. So with a bit of luck, things will start to look up. They're going to have to start to look up, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's really difficult to sort of say. Well, is it difficult to say what the problem is? Because we're not shooting, obviously, as proved by a couple of shots on target in a few games. We're still not putting crosses in. We did do something which we've been begging for. The press was back yesterday, and they did the old Crow Alexander trick of the central defender taking a goal kick to the goalkeeper, which is in fashion at the minute, and that almost paid off. Hugo pushed their goalkeeper down a couple of times, and caused them some problems. So it was definitely a step in the right direction. But if you don't shoot, you ain't going to score many goals, are you?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, and it's the thing that confuses me at the moment, and has been doing under Matt Taylor's reign, really. And I don't know whether it's because of what we had previously or what. The previous manager's ethos was to get that ball in the box, get it in the mix, and you'll score some goals. Matt Taylor seems to be completely the opposite. He just seems to want to play through the lines instead of putting the ball in the danger area, even when, at all. And yeah, mix it up a bit. I've no issue. No, there's no issue. We're trying to play it through the lines and try and create something that way. But you've got to mix it up, and you've got to get that ball in the box when you've got the opportunity. Having said that, it's rare that there's anybody in the box to receive it, is there?
Well, there's only ever Hugo, isn't there?
Yeah, and he's spending a lot of his time chasing players down and pressing and not getting the support from the midfield that he should be getting.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mess, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird that because we went. If you go back to, I know this is maybe an isolated game, but you look at the Blackburn game, we were how did all the goals come from outside the box? All but the fourth goal, sorry. There is this case. We have got this ability to take shots, and I accept that Rathbone's not playing, and Barlas is not with us anymore. But from quite far outside the area, Ferguson obviously was a corner, a bit of a freak goal, but still, there was still that positivity. Positivity with the ball. I think yesterday was positive without the ball. I think maybe we should spend a minute on that. I suppose. I thought without the ball, I thought we were very, very good. We'll come on to the red card in a minute, but from a defensive setup, from where we had been sort of pre-break, we were much better with the ball. And I suppose let's pick out the positives where we can. I suppose we were much better without the ball.
Yeah, we were. We played with some intensity, which is what we've been begging for. Hopefully, you can keep it up for the last 8 or 9 games. But sort of the short-term history tells us that we keep it up for 2 or 3 games, and then we revert back to that passive nothingness. And we can't afford to do that. We just can't. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There was a big improvement when we were out of possession, no question about that. But in possession, we're a bit clueless. It feels like we're a bit clueless.
Yeah, it feels like he's trying to play away, like you mentioned. He's trying to sort of play through the lines a little bit without a player who can really do that. You got a Rathbone who can drive through the lines realistically from a deep midfield to a bit further forward. You've got Ben Wiles who can make those runs off without the ball to take those runs in there. You've got Tarek Foster, who is an excellent player and had one of his better games yesterday. But that's not really what he does, really. Even his best games for us have not been doing anything that we need right now. So I don't really understand the persistence with playing Foster in that central role. Like I said, it was much better, but he's still not giving us what he's not helping Hugo out, is it? At all.
He's not, but he's not got any. He is the player or one of the players that can play those. But you've got to have somebody making that run off. You've got to have somebody making that run for him to pick out. And there were a couple of occasions yesterday when Cohen Bramall overlapped and Cohen Bramall overlapped. That's about it. Where he was able to do that. Chio didn't do anything down the other side in terms of getting into a position where he can receive the ball.
Yeah.
And create a dangerous situation. So it's a worry. It really is, because we're not looking like we're not looking like we're going to score at the moment.
No, we're not. No. John Manel says same with a lot of teams down at the bottom. Usual case with all the teams is creating and scoring is the issue. Yeah, and that's almost a frustrating thing, because what you tend to find with teams down there. Look at Blackpool, Wigan, ignoring the fact they play QPR. They don't create too many, they don't score too many, but they're also a bit dodgy at back. We're pretty solid at back. I mean, we're not amazing, but we're pretty solid at back. Certainly yesterday we were pretty solid other than the odd moment. So we've got one side done. You know what I mean? We've got half the team role sort of ticked off. Or maybe yesterday was a one-off. I might be giving a bit too much credit. Maybe I don't know.
Well, we know that's not the case, don't we? We know that defensively, in the main, we're reasonably strong. We have the odd off game, but in the main, we're reasonably strong. But it's like I said, it's going forward that's the issue. In our previous visits to this division, we created chance after chance after chance,
We have.
and had nobody to bang it in the back of the net. We've now got players who are capable of banging it in the back of the net, but we're not giving them any opportunity to do it because of the difference in the way that we're playing the game. So I don't know.
We're like footballing symmetry. That's more footballing irony, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, it is really. Yeah.
On the symmetry. I don't like that. Mike Miller says we're struggling because we are below par championship players playing confused tactics with no confidence and courage, guided by a manager who's yet to prove himself at this level. So the part we disagree there is the players. I think mostly this is the best group of players, Mick, we've had. Obviously, we've lost Barlas, which we know how much of a massive loss Barlas was. But I think 1 to 11. I think maybe 1 to 15. Maybe we've got a better squad than we had, much better. We're just not. It's just that final touch which we're not intense enough with the ball again, as I've mentioned 15,000 times inside 11 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of points in that comment from Mike there that I agree with, and there's a couple that I don't. I don't think we've got average championship players. We've got some quality, some real quality in the team. However, the point I do agree with is the tactics that the manager's trying to employ on a game by game basis. The players are either not buying into it or just don't understand it. I think that's where the issue is, because the moment we go back to the high press, high intensity game, we start to have some success. And then, like I say, I know I keep banging this same drum, but when we revert back to what appears to be the way he wants us to play, we're completely and utterly ineffective. And now what we appear to have is a bit of a combination of both. So we've got the high press, high energy when we're out of possession, but then when we're in possession, we drop back to that sort of passive, no real penetration, no real quality. And so for me, the issue is tactical. Somebody's mentioned Matt Taylor. He's got yet to prove himself at this level. Of course he has, absolutely he has, and I'm sure that he will. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I'm sure he's a good coach. However, he's still got a lot of work to do to become anywhere close to the finished article at this level.
Yeah. Football Mad says Washington is a lot brighter than Hugo. Only felt like we would score when Hugo came on. I completely agree. Maybe that was because they were pushing though. There's two parts. The Washington is quicker, and they were pushing, so there's a bit more space in behind. But it's very simple to say, but I want to see Hugo and Washington more. Maybe Hugo and Kelly, but I think Hugo and Washington are a bit more of a classic duo. You get your big man and your man who runs off him a little bit. They seem like they'd fit quite nice together. In the moments we have, I think, did they play first half an hour against Reading when they the first 45 minutes? Sorry, and they did really well together, if my memory serves me right. God, Reading a lot of problems. When we're shoehorning Foster into that central role, why not just? Again, this sounds really simple, and I might be oversimplifying it, but just chuck Washington up top with Hugo, Foster in his right position, which Shelley mentions here. Maybe time to try Foster back out wide. Seems lost in the middle at times. Is that all? Do you think that's simple, Mick, or do you think we should be trying that?
Yeah, I don't think it is oversimplifying it, no, because what Washington gives you, it gives you that movement up front, which then allows you to play those balls through the lines, because he will be in that position. Jordan Hugel's not that type of player. He's either in the box winning headers, or he's holding the ball up and bringing other players into it. So yeah, Jordan Hugel's not going to make those runs. It's not going to happen, because that's not the type of player he is, whereas Connor Washington is. So, it does need a change. There's no doubt about it. But once we get Rathbone back, once we get Wilesy back, hopefully that will make some improvement into that midfield.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, big news Sunday. Damien Coa says Chelsea have sacked Potter. Sacking Sunday was Sunday's mentioned. If we run out of time, we'll talk about it. Michael Connor says Washington scored against Blackburn. Yeah, he did inside the box. That's right. Michael Connor, we all know that there is a massive hole in the midfield. Yeah, and that man, that missing hole is a certain Ollie Rathbone, isn't it? But that brings its own problems if you're relying so heavily on one player. I know when maybe not the biggest budget to have a couple of star players, but one player's out injured, and it's really, really obvious that one player's out injured, isn't it?
I don't know. I think we're putting a lot of store on the fact that Ollie's not playing at the moment. And yes, I accept that this drop off in form has coincided with his injury. We are missing him. There's no doubt about it. But we're not a one-man team by any stretch of imagination.
No.
But he does give you that bite in midfield, and he does hold that midfield together. There's no real leader in there at the moment. It just feels like there's a big hole there. I know that's what you just said, but it literally feels like there's a hole there. There's no one there. And ironically, at the beginning of the season, that midfield three that we had with Rathbone, Wiles, and Barlasser was probably one of the best midfields we've had in this division. And yet we're ending the season, or coming towards the back end of the season, with only none of them in the squad. You know what I mean? It's not great, but yeah, we do need him back. There's no doubt about it.
Shelley asks, any news on Ollie? How far away? Paul Davis reported that he's had an injection. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what that means. It's an injection to speed up recovery. Now, I don't know if there is a set time. I don't know if he takes 3 days to work and then he's pain free or whatever. That sort of thing hasn't been talked about by anybody. It's just reported that he has had an injection. I would have assumed if you're going to give him an injection, you would hope to have him back for this weekend coming. But that's a guess. That's a complete guess. There's been nothing put out by the club. If you can get Rathbone back, that's brilliant. We'd think Wiles is not far off, but we don't know how far off. But we'll have to sort of wait and see on that one. We'll talk about midfield again in a minute, to be honest with you, because there's other players in that midfield to talk about. Let's talk about the moment of the game, the only real moment of the game, Mick. Domingos Quina, bless him. He came on for 20 minutes against Blackpool, did his knee, out for about 6 weeks, comes back on, sent off with about 20 minutes. Not having the greatest Rotherham United career. We'll talk about his performance maybe in a moment, but the red card, David Webb was the referee. And at the time, when it first happened, I thought it was a penalty. I thought the referee had made the wrong decision, and I thought it was inside the area. Looking back from the referee's position, which would have been far away because it was a breakaway, I thought the referee's made such a good decision to decide it was outside the area. I assume Linos helped him, but it's such a good decision, and we can't complain because it's a nailed-on red card.
I know Mike's in the comments, so I know he's listening to this. I thought the referee had an excellent game, and I know some people have criticised him on social media, but I thought he had an excellent game, and he got that decision absolutely on the nose. Perfect. It was definitely a red card. I don't think there can be no argument about it. It was definitely outside the box. Really, really good decision. It's a shame for Keena, but he had to take one for the team, and he did. It saved us a goal. I mean, it's arguable that Victor may have been able to collect that ball. However, you've got less than a second to make that decision, and for me, he made the right one. And I know it's going to cost us, but at least we're coming away with a point and not empty-handed.
Yeah. Bauman says, "Oh my God, Mick praising a referee. Am I dreaming?"
Credit where credit's due, innit?
Yeah, absolutely.
He, like you pointed out there, he may have had some assistance from the linesman. That's what they do. That's the worst. They should work as a team, and they clearly did. And I don't think the referee had a bad game at all. There were the odd one or two daft little fouls that are given that you could argue about, but no, I thought it was one of the better ones we've had this season, without a doubt.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I remember he did the Watford game as well, and I seem to remember having a decent game. He didn't give the dives from Sarr, did he? Sarr died about 3 or 4 times in the Watford game, and he sort of stood up strong to that. So, yeah. Man, you feeling okay, Mick? Didn't you lie down? He's in a car park in Wales, so he's not even had any beer either. So
it's this Welsh air, you know, and the good thing is it's not even raining here, so
yeah. Yeah, John with two sort of points again. They both lead into each other. It said the lad you lost into Borough is more of a loss. Said I'd say as you didn't have a like-for-like replacement for him. Connor Coventry was brought in as a replacement. John Morell also says who was the lad that dived in for the tackle? Whoever it was led to the sending off essentially. Connor Coventry, Mick. We seem to be talking about Connor Coventry quite a lot, to be honest with you. But the red card came from a Connor Coventry really, 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 really poor tackle, a half tackle. I'm really struggling with Connor Coventry because I've got to think there's a player in there. You know, West Ham thinks so highly of him that there can't not be a player there. There's got to be. But we are seeing a player who either doesn't like to get stuck in, which I don't think would be the case because the position he plays, you've got to have a bit of physicality, or he's scared of getting injured. He's causing us problems. Is the bluntest way, and maybe that's a harsh way of putting it, but he's causing us problems. He was the reason that Keane got sent off yesterday because he is half-hearted tackle, and it wasn't the only time in the game he's gone in half-hearted and lost us the ball.
I take a slightly different view on that particular incident. I think he's gone for the man. I don't think he's gone for the ball. I think he's gone for the man. I think he's gone to foul the man and hopefully, you know, give a free kick away there because they're clearly on the break and he's just missed it. He's just missed the man. He's missed the ball. He's missed everything. I was quite surprised at the sort of aggression that how aggressively he went into that challenge, albeit he missed. But for Connor Coventry, quite a step up for me in terms of the level of aggression he used. Unfortunately, like I said, it didn't work out. He's not having a great time. He's in the sense that he's not really influencing games. And I understand that he's a player that he kind of does the dirty work, the unseen dirty work. I think he's one of those types of midfielders. But unfortunately, he's not really being effective in that. And I put that down to the fact that he's trying not to get injured. He appears to be trying not to get injured rather than actually fully committing, which is, I accept, is at odds with what I've just said about that tackle. But that, for me, is why it highlights that tackle. You know what I mean? Because it was a tackle that he went in aggressively, and it's unusual for him. And he probably won't do it again as soon as he missed. But he's not as effective as he needs to be. And let's be honest, the point that John made, we've not got a like-for-like replacement for Dan Barla, so nobody has. You know, those types of player, and Middlesbrough obviously don't seem to share this point of view at the moment. Those types of player don't come along very often. For me, anyway, as a Rotherham United supporter, we don't get those kinds of players, and I don't see them necessarily, certainly at this level, very often at all. So you were never going to get a like-for-like. Coventry is definitely not like-for-like. It may be in terms of the position he plays in, but what he's capable of doing is not. Is nowhere near on that level.
No, Barlas got a total of 6 minutes yesterday in a 4-2 loss to Huddersfield.
Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, don't get that. Well, they could have helped us then. They didn't. Thank you very much. We'll maybe talk about it in a minute. John Morell says it was a tackle made by a player who never makes a tackle, hence why he went so wrong. That may well sum up quite nicely, to be honest with you. Craig Riley says Coventry couldn't lace Dan's boots. Coventry has to try to tackle because the Hull player was faster. Yeah, he's just made an absolute pig's ear of it. We're just not seeing any. I couldn't pick out a positive aspect of his game. I accept that he does a bit of dirty work, so maybe some of the work he does we miss, maybe. But then again, we've compared to Richie Smallwood. I think initially when Richie Smallwood came, I think we maybe did miss a bit of his dirty work. But then it became very obvious what he brought to the team. it was very. It became, it was Richie Smallwood. He did what he did. And I'm seeing a very poor Richie Smallwood at the minute. But that's because Richie Smallwood didn't care. He just went flying through man, didn't he? That was maybe the difference.
Yeah.
Maybe the difference because Richie Smallwood was a bit of a madman.
Yeah, possibly. He is a bit of a pound shop, Richie Smallwood, isn't he?
Yeah.
In that sense. But like you say, West Ham think they've got a player there, so maybe at Premier League level, he may offer something different. But at the moment, it's not really being effective for us. But having said that, neither is anybody else realistically, or not many anyway.
Yeah. A few of the comments sort of basically saying we shouldn't have let Barlasser go. 100% let him go at the wrong time. I mean, this is all very hindsight making. I suppose in football, this is what we do. We put the hindsight goggles on. At the time, we all thought it was the right decision at the right time, didn't we? To be fair, with credit, we got the money in. Money was spent on wages and loans for other players, so it probably was the right deal. Although it's hurting us now.
Hindsight's 20/20, isn't it? Well, it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need the money. We need the money, and we got a decent wedge for him. I didn't want to see Dan Barlasser go, but he was never going to sign a new contract with us, and therefore we needed to get some money. So yeah, it's the wrong decision because we need him, but it's the right decision because financially we need to be secure. So and yeah, you could argue it both ways, but he's gone, so we move on.
Yes, we do. Phil says it's unfair to highlight one player. It's the overall shape that's wrong.
Yeah, I agree with
that. I do agree to an extent, but what I would say is Jamie Lindsay's come in straight away and made an impact. That wasn't Jamie Lindsay's best performance in a Rotherham shirt, but it was everywhere. He was trying to create. So he was trying to break up the play when we didn't have the ball. He was trying to press their players when we did have the ball. And I accept that maybe being asked to play different roles, but when a Dolphin's on the pitch, you generally know about it. He's doing something, whatever it is. A Dolphin's doing something. When Jamie Lindsay's on the pitch, you know damn well that Jamie Lindsay's on the pitch, and that's maybe the difference. That's the frustration from me compared to the likes of Conor Coventry at the minute. I hope he comes good, but at the minute it makes not much sense to me that he's getting in over Jamie Lindsay or a Dolphin. I know a Dolphin's not everybody's cup of tea, but it gives you something else, and he does actually give you something for almost 90 minutes weekly.
Yeah, he does, and he is capable of playing that role, that sort of holding midfield role. But yeah, that's clearly not in Matt Taylor's plans. Conor Coventry is, and hopefully he'll start to have an impact on the games. He's young, as I think as John's mentioned in comments there. Yeah. He's young and inexperienced, and that's why he's with us. To gain that experience. Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast for clubs like us, isn't it? We bring players in on loan, and our job is to develop them, and sometimes that doesn't benefit us as a club. But that's just where we are, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, I think he'll come good. He just needs to be a bit braver for start and look after the ball a bit better. I think for a player of his obvious ability, that's well within his skill set. I think. But we've got to see it. Michael Miller says, let's not forget once again the contribution of Victor. It was a crucial save in the first half. It looked a simple save. That's because he's a guy who made it is at the top of his form. Yeah, it's very easy to forget about Victor, to be honest with you, because he just did what Victor does. But it was a crucial save at half time, I think it was. So it was really good, really good from Victor all round. He come out for a couple of crosses, punched when he needed to. I think it was just general. It's just Victor being Victor.
Yeah, he is, and like you, it's very easy to just sort of gloss over him because we constantly singing his praises, aren't we? And it feels like it gets a little bit boring. But yeah, it was a crucial save, and he would probably have mopped up the one that Keane got sent off with, but he couldn't take that chance. He's outstanding, and were it not for him, we would be definitely right in the middle of that relegation battle.
You absolutely would. We're just outside it at the minute.
Exactly.
Shelley says, right now in our current situation, Jamie Lindsay has to be in the starting lineup. He should be the second name behind Victor for me. And I agree that if Ollie's not going to be there, Mick, you've got to have Jamie Lindsay in the team. And again, it wasn't his best ever Rotherham performance, but he had an impact. He had a positive impact. And that's all we ask for. From someone like Jamie Lindsay, you just say, right, put the opposition under pressure when they've got the ball, do a bit of running. He's not going to create much, Lindsay, but he helps the team. He helps take the pressure off us because of his energy and the pressure he puts on them.
Yeah, he does, absolutely, and he can pick that pass as well. He works very, very well with Chio down that right hand side. They've got a very good understanding together, and Chio he's a lot more dangerous when Jamie Lindsay's on the pitch and close to him. So I absolutely agree. If Ollie Rathbone is not playing, Jamie Lindsay has to, and that for me that's the end of that discussion.
I agree.
They can't. I just cannot get my head around the fact that you've got two players who are incredibly similar in the way that they play and the way that they impact a game, and yet there's only one of them that seems to be the key man. And when he's injured, the other one don't get a look at that. But I find that bizarre. I find that really peculiar.
Yeah, I did as well. Very strange. Chris Taylor Duffin is the only player we have who threatens with height. We are poor at set pieces. Yeah, I think that's probably right. But we don't threaten any other crosses. We maybe don't have set piece players. We've got Shane Ferguson with a good left foot. That's it. Keane came on and took a couple of set pieces, but didn't have a massive impact into it. Massively impressed with them. I don't know. It's frustrating.
It's frustrating, and we've said all this, and we don't look like scoring and everything else, and we'll go and end up banging a few in the next couple of games. But I just can't see where they're coming from at the moment. I just can't.
No, I can't. Let's look at another positive though. Colin Bramall came back in for his first start in quite a long time. Actually, I haven't looked when his last start was, but it may have been the Reading game. So a little while ago. Again, plenty of positive. I think he was brought in to keep their number 10 quiet. I can't remember his name now, but he was a good player with a bit of pace. But I thought Bramall was basically faultless. He didn't do anything wrong. He did what he needed to do very, very well. I think he maybe played with the reins on a little bit. I don't think he got forward as much as I would have liked him to. But I still thought he had a really, really, really good game, Bramall.
He probably thought there's no point in getting forward because if I put ball in the box, there's going to be nobody there to get on the end of it. So, he's a bit Marmite, isn't he, Colin Bramall? It would appear with some of our supporters. I like him. Yeah, he's got his problems. He's got his faults. He can dive in a lot, but his pace gets him out of so much trouble and creates so much problems as well. So many problems as well for the opposition. So he's another one that for me would be in the team every week unless he's injured. Not necessarily in that left back position either, because I think Kjelder tends to have a really decent impact on the game when he plays. For some reason, Matt Taylor seems to have taken a bit of a dim view of him at the moment. I don't know. I mean, he's clearly a young lad. He's clearly keen. He's clearly a bit daft. And I don't know whether he just feels he's a bit too immature or what. But it gives us it really gives us something in that left back position, which would allow Colin Bramall to take up that position on the left that Shane Ferguson is occupying at the moment. And Colin Bramall that far up the pitch with the pace that he's got would be an absolute nightmare for defenders. Absolute nightmare. But again, we're not managers always, so.
No, we're not. Full Mad asks about Kioso, asking if he's injured. I don't think he is, but Peltier is solid. Peltier is not really causing us any problems. Whenever Peltier is playing the way he's playing, and I suppose he lacks going forward, Nick. I suppose that's the problem with Peltier. But you've got to add in there that Peltier is a leader. We lack a bit of leadership in that team. You got maybe Bailey Wright and Lee Peltier and Hugo up top. Those are your leaders in this team. Maybe I'm doing Victor a bit of a disservice, but we need those people on the pitch to guide these players through. We haven't got Richard Wood to be the leader of this team at the minute. So maybe that plays into the part of playing Peltier over somebody like Kyoso, who's not even making bench.
Which again is another strange decision, because he's another dangerous player going forward, and defensively very adept. Yeah. So I don't get that either. Not even on the bench is just bizarre. It really is, because he does offer you something different, and he offers you a threat in the opposition box as well. He's very, very good in the air. He's got pace. He can put the ball in the box. He can defend well. Listen, I have no issue with Lee Peltier whatsoever, and I get the point that you're making in terms of being a leader on the pitch. But he's coming off injured almost every game. So he's running himself into the ground. It's only a matter of time before that one of those injuries, before he breaks down for the rest of the season. So yeah, I want to see Kyoso playing, and I probably would pick him over Lee Peltier at the moment, just simply because he offers more going forward, and we've got nothing going forward.
No, we haven't. Not at all. Shelley says maybe time for two up top. Just feels like something has to give at the minute. Yeah, we'll maybe talk about it on the next episode when we preview the West Brom game on Friday. Yeah, thought Harvey Kerr with a good point. Thought Harding played all right when he came on as well. Yeah, he looked back to I know it was only a short period of time, Mick, but he looked back to good old Wes. Came on, did a job, not spectacular, no mistakes. That's what I expect from Mr. Harding.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, when he's called upon again, he does the same. I desperately want him back to some sort of form. I like Wes Harding a lot, as you know. I think he's a quality player, and he's been just so out of touch recently. But yeah, there were a very, very good header at the back post towards the back end of the game that could potentially, arguably, be a goal-saving intervention. So yeah, no issues with Wes yesterday at all.
No. Mike Miller, just think how much trouble we'd be in if our goalkeeper was only having an average season. Yeah, that's pretty scary to think of, to be honest with you.
But only because we're not scoring goals.
Well, that's why it's under so much pressure, isn't it? That is the reason the defence and if we make chances and score 1 out of 5, then the pressure's instantly off. And this, we go back to last season. This is why I know it's a different league, and I know the player. It's a different kind of thing. But there was no pressure on Woody and and Icky and people like that, because we were already 3-1 up against Portsmouth, or 4-1 up against Portsmouth, or whatever it might have been. There was so little pressure on the defence because it was relaxed, because we were taking the shots, we were putting the crosses in, we were breaking the opposition down. Maybe that's just because we're at a different level. But we look at the first quarter of the season, we were still creating chances, weren't we?
We were, exactly, and that's the point. That's precisely the point. Had we been able to continue in that same vein, we would have been comfortably safe, I believe now. I genuinely do, because we were creating opportunities. And given the players that we've now got, arguably we wouldn't have got the same players. That's another matter, in the January transfer window. But we were creating chances, we were scoring goals, we were defensively solid, and we were causing teams. Everybody that we played, we were causing them problems because of the intensity of the play and the high press, and we were getting the ball in the box. And that we're not doing that. We're not doing that at the moment. That's partially because a new manager's coming halfway through the season with a different idea, and he's not really had time to implement that on the training ground. Well, he did, to be fair. That's not true, because he had a 4-week break in between the World Cup, and then he came back absolutely dross. So, yeah. Okay.
A couple of criticisms here. Football Man says a lot of the dissatisfactions of ours are down to poor management. Jamie says the worry I have that if Matt Taylor keeps trying the same thing and expecting different results, I think we need to be more attacking. Yeah, but we're one of those teams, mate, that goes in spells. First things first, we didn't play badly yesterday. I know we got dragged further into relegation, but we didn't play badly. And if we look, you can go back to the post World Cup. We were dross. We were complete and utter garbage. Then we beat Blackburn. We picked up a point at Watford. We were really, really good. Picked up a point against Sheffield United. We were really, really good. Then we lose to Reading when we maybe should have won, and went on another 2 or 3 game period where we went poor again. And then we picked up a win against Sunderland, picked up a really good point at Swansea, and beat QPR. And then we've gone on another bit of a poor run. I just think we're streaky, and that can lead you into danger. You look at Lee Johnson's team. Lee Johnson's a perfect example, isn't it? Because old streaky Lee is one of the kings of that. But that streakiness is what still fills me with enough confidence that we will find a way of staying up, because it will click. We've seen under Matt Taylor so far that, we're going to have some garbage games, but there are games where everything will click, and we could go beat West Brom 2-0 on Friday. And whether we will is a different conversation. But we could, because we know we've got that ability within this squad to turn up and turn over really, really good teams. And so we've got to be careful not to criticise. For me, I think anyway, we've got to be careful not to criticise Matt Taylor too much, because he has shown on occasions that he can do it at this level. He's beaten. I say, like I mentioned, he's beaten some very, very good teams this season, and dismantled some very, very good teams this season. So we've got to wait and see and see how it plays out. But I've seen enough from Matt Taylor that he will keep us up. I still have confidence in that, but time will tell. Won't it? He's got to. Realistically, we want to go turn up for 3 more games this season, and we'll survive, don't we? Realistically, I know that's only a given. I know that's, again, really simple. That's all we've got to do. Sometimes it is as simple as that, isn't it?
Sometimes. I'm not convinced it is this time.
Okay.
The issue is, and I know I keep saying it, and I feel like a broken record. What happens is we play with intensity, and we do well for 3 or 4 games, and then we drop off completely, and we don't just sort of not play with the same intensity for a bit of the game. We just don't play with any at all for the full 90 minutes, and that's when it falls off. And it's. I'm not suggesting. I know John's put in the comment there you can't do it 46 games a season, 90 minutes a game. No, you can't. And when we've been playing well in that fashion under Matt Taylor, we've not been doing it for 90 minutes. We've been doing it at appropriate times. We've gone in and out of the press. We've taken it in and out of the game. And you can do that 46. You can do that 46 games a season. It's when we lose that we start to have the issues, and I don't understand why we lose it. I don't get it. It can only be tactical. I can't think of another reason.
I think it's more that we get out pressed or out intensified by the opposition. If we play a team like Cardiff, for example, Cardiff were just better in every department than us. We just didn't turn up, whereas they did. If they weren't as intense as they were, then the game may have gone differently, excluding the rain. I don't know. I may be trying to defend Matt Taylor a bit more than I should. I don't know. It's difficult. It is difficult.
I refer you back to Millwall. Probably one of the most passive teams we've played all season, and yet we still managed to be more boring and passive than they were, and they got their just desserts out of that game. So I don't know. There are issues with Matt Taylor's reign. There's no question about that. He's getting plenty wrong. But a coach with his experience is going to do. But as you put in that comment that you just put up earlier on, you can't keep doing the same things and expecting a different result. Well, I don't know.
Couple of comments here. If Phil says, if a manager can't see the shape is wrong, it looks bad. We've only won 9 games. Do you really think that's good enough? we look like a League Two team. Might also have only won 9 games. We'll probably only need to win 11 to stay up. So winning 9 games, we're in a relegation battle. We were meant to be in a relegation battle. So I don't think winning 9 games, I don't think that's a necessary. I disagree with Mick if you want. I don't think that's a necessarily stat to throw at somebody at this point in the season, say you're rubbish because you've only won 9 games. Well, teams around us probably haven't won 9 games. They've maybe picked up more draws and whatnot. I don't know. Do you disagree?
It's not good enough, is it? Winning 9 games at this stage of season, having only won 9 games this stage of season, when we could have quite easily won a lot more had we played in the same manner that we can do. So the shape is wrong. There's no doubt about it. The shape is wrong.
I agree.
That you can't. I don't think anybody can argue about that. And whether that's down to injuries as much as anything else makes no difference really. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and it needs to be addressed. Whilever those players are injured, we need to play a different way. We cannot allow the midfield to be non-existent. This is the Championship. You might be able to get away with it in League 2. You may possibly sometimes get away with it in League 1. You ain't getting away with it in this division. Not once. Not happening. And we're proving that.
Yeah, we picked up more draws than anybody else in the sort of bottom part of the division. We've got 14 draws this season, which I'm just trying to look at the table now. That may well be the most in the entire division in terms of draws. 14 draws. That's put us on the highest amount of draws this season out of the entire division. We have won 9. Only Blackpool and Wigan have won less. They've both won 8. But we said at the time a lot of those draws we'd have lost 1-0 2 years ago. So we can't sort of have it both ways, I don't think. Anyway, let's move on. Let's look at the picture going down. John says the issue is you're playing teams at the top teams at the business end of the season. I hadn't realised the running was so tough. Yes, I think that's a very, very. I think it is a tough running, but what that means is those teams at the top we saw with us last season in League 1. When things got tough, it became very difficult for us to win, and we lost games to teams we shouldn't have lost them. You look at Wednesday, we can laugh at Sheffield Wednesday at the minute, but they're doing exactly the same things of not winning games that they maybe should have done. We discussed this yesterday. Sometimes playing teams who've got something to play for can help you because pressure. Look at Middlesbrough. Pressure does funny things to teams, doesn't it? At that end of the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely it does, and to be fair, we seem to play better against the better sides, without a doubt. You put us up against Wigan, and it's going to be a slugging match, isn't it? But you put us up against a team that's going to play football, and we tend to be better. We tend to be better, and I've got some very, very good results against some really good sides. Burnley, for example, was so unlucky not to get anything out of that game at Burnley. We've been to Sheffield United, beat Sheffield United. We've got Norwich at home. We've got Norwich coming up. We're more than capable of taking points off these top sides, particularly ones that are getting a little bit nervy as to whether they're going to make the playoffs or whether they're going to make automatics, etc. So yes, it's a tough run-in. But you've got to play everybody in division. So whether you play them now or whether you play them earlier on, it makes no difference really. We've just got to look after our own and improve our own performances.
Yeah, absolutely. Tobias with a positivity boost. Tobias says, "Don't worry, expect 6 points in the next 2 games. He hasn't seen us lose when he's been over to England. 6 easy points." As Tobias says.
Listen. Tobias is on a high. Tobias is probably drunk because Hammarby have won the opening game of the season today. So he's probably been on beer.
He's definitely been on beer.
He's definitely been on beer. Yeah.
Positivity. We like a bit of positivity after. Yeah, although this comes obviously Huddersfield picked up a shock result. There's no other way of putting it. A shock result. They've been 1-0 down. They go and win 4-2. Which is a brilliant result. I mean, when Warnock took over there was a lot of people saying, it's Warnock, he's old school, blah, blah, blah. He's not going to do it. Beware of Neil Warnock. Write him off at your peril because that man knows how to pick up points in the Championship. It's only a win, but it just drags everybody else back into. If you add Reading 6 points into there, I think you've got 4 teams covered by 3 points or something like that. It's pulled everybody right back in.
Yeah, it has, absolutely. And you're right. You can't write Neil Warnock off or any of his sides. He's one of the best managers that the EFL's ever seen. One of the most successful managers, arguably, that the EFL's ever seen. So he does what he does, and he does it very, very well. So Gareth Ainsworth, on the other hand, QPR are another matter altogether. They've been dragged right back into this. Yeah. I can see Gareth Ainsworth getting sacked before the season's out. I'd be very surprised if he manages to still be QPR manager after 46 games. Very surprised indeed, because they're in free fall at the moment. They can't buy a win, which is great for us. Huddersfield, like you say, are the dark horses to possibly get out of this. There's 6 point deduction from Reading that doesn't seem to be coming. May well drag them back into it. Cardiff, that
loss yesterday, that will take so much out of them. We joked about the rain thing, but losing in the 98th minute to your bitterest of rivals at home, I can only imagine what that's going to take out of their morale. It must be an absolute dagger.
Yeah, it must be. And I have no issue with Cardiff whatsoever as a club. I don't. However, they sent us down last time we were up here, so it's now time for us to send them down. That's my view. We need to return that favour.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. We look at sitting there saying we see ourselves, Cardiff will definitely pick up points, and I think it doesn't. Cardiff got two of the hardest run-ins. I think Cardiff have got Blackpool next. Mind, Blackpool aren't going to do. I watched the first half of their game against Preston at weekend, and they look like they're not bothered about staying up. To be honest with you, Blackpool, I couldn't believe how bad they were. Certainly the first, I didn't watch the second half. I think Wigan have done, but the point deductions really hurt them. They played QPR, didn't they? So it's difficult to judge Wigan because they only beat QPR, which everybody beats QPR at the minute. I still think Wigan have not got enough. I don't think our squad's big enough or good enough for them to stay up. Blackpool don't seem bothered at the minute. So for me, Wigan and Blackpool are done. I think there's one spot open. That may change in the next. We know how big Easter can be. Easter can be massive, can't it? But I think there's one spot to play for, and it's one of Huddersfield, Cardiff, Rotherham, Reading, or QPR. If you again, we say this a lot, Mick, but if you did offered me that on day one of season, you've got a 1 in 5 chance of staying up, and you are 2 points ahead of the drop at this stage, you would have taken it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would have. 8 games in, I wouldn't have taken it though.
Well, no.
And that's the worry. We should be out of sight, man. We should be out of sight of this battle, and we're only in it because of our own fault, because of our own inconsistency and poor performances, unnecessarily poor performances, for me. Because if we'd have played half decent after that World Cup break, these injuries that we've got now wouldn't have half the impact that they're having. So those changes that were made to the tactics, to the shape, to the way that we play following the World Cup break are really the key to why we're where we are, for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. Let's finish on where you see it. 8 games left, 7 for everybody else, I think, for most of the division anyway. Do you see, we'll probably revisit this question after every single game between now and the end of the season, Mick, but how confident are you that we will get the points needed? 9 at the most, I think, is what we'd need.
Do you know, if you'd have asked me that, well, you did ask me this 3 weeks ago, and I was very confident. I'm much less confident now. Not necessarily because of the results, but because of the performances. The only sort of light at the end of the tunnel for me is that, as you pointed out earlier on, we tend to have 4 or 5 bad games and then 3 really good games, or 4 or 5 bad results and then 3 really good results. So hopefully we're on the verge of 3 or 4 good results, and that will keep us up. no matter what anyone else does. But I am starting to get a little bit worried now.
To be fair, it wouldn't be Rotherham United if we didn't go into April with a bit of nerves, would it? It's just.
Well, no, exactly, absolutely.
It's the Rotherham United way, is to turn up in April with worry. So recap the running Friday, early kickoff. Remember, 1 o'clock kickoff. West Brom at home. Then we got Norwich away. Then Luton at home. Luton were really, really good against Watford. Burnley at home 4 days later on the Tuesday. They could be promoted by then. They could be promoted. They could be looking for the title. We don't know. Bristol City away in the penultimate away game of the season. Middlesbrough at home. Cardiff at home. Cardiff before the Middlesbrough game, again at home. And then Wigan on the bank holiday Monday on the 8th of May. Yeah. Again.
It's squeaky bum time.
Look, 9 points will do it. That's 3 wins out of those 8 games. That's doable.
Easy peasy, mate.
You're not going to need more than 50. I can't see Huddersfield picking up 12 points from 7 games. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? That would be beyond it. Yeah. You got 3. John says you've got 3 must-win games: Bristol, Cardiff, and Wigan. Possibly. I mean, if we go into Wigan game still needing something, then another last day shootout. God, I can't be doing with this.
St. George's Day.
Another St. George's Day. Yeah. I mean, those are really 3 of our last 4 games. We will have picked up some points before then. Whether it's 6 points or 2 points, we will have picked up some points before the Bristol City game.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mentioned it just a minute ago. Easter can be huge. We pick up 4 points at Easter. It's unlikely anybody below us is going to pick up more than 4 points. Nobody's going to pick up 6 points. Realistically, it's unlikely they're going to pick up 6 points over Easter. So 4 points will either keep the status quo or pull us away. It should. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see.
This is it. This is it.
Oh, God, can you imagine just like finishing 17th? Wouldn't it be just great? We could just all chill out. There we go. Grandma says, can you imagine the limbs if we need to beat Wigan to stay up and Georgia Kelly nets the winner again? I can. We just don't need the stress, do we? I can also imagine what would happen if somebody like Marlon Pack scores an 87th minute goal to send us down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There we go. Mick, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, I mean, John's just pointed out that it's boring being there. I mean, as you said, I would love to be bored. Please let me be bored for one season in this division.
In this division, yeah. I think if we go down, will that be 8 seasons in a row we've gone up or down?
Yeah.
I can imagine there's some teams that haven't gone up and down 8 times ever. Do you mind? Rochdale, I went like 30 years without going up or down, or something like that in League 2.
Something like that, yeah.
And we've gone 7, could go 8 in a row, going up or down. Championship. Did you say that's it, Mick? Anything else you want to mention?
No, I'm good, mate. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being with us. We'll be back on probably Thursday. We may decide to go a day early because it's Good Friday. Because it's a Good Friday game. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on the socials for that. Please do subscribe if you haven't done already. We'll do an instant reaction on Friday post game for the West Brom, which will be up on the YouTube channel as well. And then again, we may be like Easter Sunday. Probably we'll work it out and get back to you on that one as it gets to its conclusion. As this crazy season gets to its conclusion. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, whatever. If you can give us a 5-star rating, if you haven't done already, that would very much help us out as well. Thank you very much. Mick, I assume it's dark. It's pitch black in the car park in Wales. It's dark here.
Yeah, can you sell? Hi.
Oh, bless. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you all for the very next episode in a few days' time. Thank you very much.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! Mule with it. Wood's got around the back. And Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.